The only matter of concern to a wise and philosophic individual is the things completely under your control. You can't control the movements of the sun and the planets. You can't control whether a leaky ship sinks or makes it to port. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't control the society around you. There's only one thing and one thing only that you are in control of, and that is you. Your will, your intentions, yourself. In other words, the wise man, the truly philosophical man, is the man who is entirely in control of his own soul, who takes utter and complete moral responsibility for his actions and is indifferent to everything else, not because he doesn't care about other people, not because he doesn't care about the felicity of the entire human species, but because it's not under his control. There's no use wondering or worrying about what tomorrow will bring, since tomorrow isn't under your control. Do what's right today and let tomorrow take care of itself. The Stoic philosopher is the man who has liberated himself from fear. He's not afraid of death. He's not afraid of pain. He's not afraid of other people's dismissal as a fool. The only thing he cares about is that he should meet his moral obligations. The key idea behind Marcus Aurelius, something like this, that it's just the human condition for us to have troubles and worries and anxieties and problems. Don't torture yourself by worrying about things that aren't in your control. Leave that in the hands of God. Leave that in the hands of nature. Do your best to control the things that you do have control over, yourself, your behavior, your intentions, and your actions. If you do that, you will live a blessed and happy and virtuous and wise life. Marcus Aurelius lets us know that all people suffer, but that not all people pity themselves. Marcus Aurelius lets us know that all men die, but that not all men die whining. Something to think about.
Look, there's a lot of people out there, as I said before, who are blaming almost everybody, blaming the exchanges, blaming Luna, blaming market manipulation, but there's one person they're not blaming, and that is themselves, okay? Now listen, I know that you are intelligent and sophisticated people, the people who watch these videos, so I know you won't do this, but unfortunately there's a lot of people out there who think that the meaning of investing is just holding forever, without any risk protection. I want to make this very clear. The people out there who think that investing means holding without any risk protection, that is not investing. That is gambling. There is a difference between gambling and investing. You see, professionals know when to get out when the odds are against them. If you ever watch poker, okay, you know there's a difference between professional poker players and amateur ones. Amateur poker players have zero respect for risk, whereas professional poker players know it's all about probabilities and they do protect themselves against risk. They know what not to do. Okay, so when, for example, just like poker, when the odds are against you, you know you should get out. Similar with Luna here, okay? So for example, take a look at this chart of Luna, and you will see there's something very similar with this chart, which I showed to you in my video, the video I showed to you just a few days ago with Charlie Burton. And here's something important we mentioned. In fact, this is a generic chart we showed to you. But again, it looks quite similar to what's happening right now, or what happened recently with Luna. We said in that video, as I'm sure you probably heard, that if, for example, somebody gets in the market, let's say here, or anywhere here, as a matter of fact, anywhere here, okay? If the price were then to break a key support level, so if the price was then to break a key support, like this trend line support, now again, you don't have to use trend lines. You can use other support levels or other methods, for example, to know when the odds have turned against you. But again, this is a very simple method. So essentially what Charlie said was, look, if the trend line gets broken, then you need to get out. Essentially, why? Because then risk has increased quite significantly. So going back to our chart here on Luna. Well, if you take a look over here, you'll notice there are two trend line supports. One is this, again, much more less steep trend line support. I'll do this with a different color right here. But also there's another one right over here. Two trend lines. And in fact, if I just zoom in here on this chart, you will see that there was a nice trend line support, and then this came in right about here, okay? And notice there was also another important support right here at this dashed blue line. That's market structure. So that's a structural level of support, about 77, okay? So what does that tell us? It tells us, look, if the price was to break this structural level of support at 77 and the trend line as well, so you have double support here, two support levels being broken, trend line support and structural support, okay? That means at this level, it actually would have been a wise idea to get out. Now, I know what some people are going to say. There are going to be some people out there who are going to say, well, if you're going to sell at that point, so I'm sure there's going to be someone out there who's going to say, well, if you sell here at this point, well, you've already lost about 34%. Okay, so what? So you've lost 34%. By the way, that's only if you got in here. But I think what they mean is that you've lost 34% of your profits. Well, here's the thing. Is it better to get out and limit your risk and at least get out with some profit than have zero profit down here? Wait for the price to just go all the way to zero. Which one's better? I don't know about you, but if you're like me, I would say, okay, so I've given back 34% of my profits or gains here. It doesn't matter. I'd rather get out here and reduce risk quickly than to end up with nothing or a substantial loss. And by the way, the price also gave us a second chance even here when it broke this support, this next support level here at these lows that you can see here. So there were several opportunities here. And also there was another trend line support. As you can see here, there was a trend line break right over there. So somebody could actually put a nice stop loss right beneath this magenta trend line support that we can see here. So guys, the bottom line here is this. The lesson to be learned from this is not, there's market manipulation, there's problems with Luna and UST and things like that. No, the problem is that there are people out there who don't take responsibility for their own actions. Okay, I'm not saying that's you, because I know you're intelligent and sophisticated people, but again, we know there's people out there. And by the way, I've made this mistake myself. You guys know my story. Back in the year 2000, in the dot-com bubble, I made this very same mistake. I bought a stock. It was a dot-com stock, and I watched it go all the way to zero. And back in the year 2000, I said, that's it. I'm never going to make that mistake ever again. Okay? So yes, we all make these mistakes, and we have to learn from them. The bottom line is, guys, as Marcus Aurelius was saying in that lecture we listened to, the people out there who keep whining, we must not whine and moan and feel pity for ourselves and blame everybody else except ourselves. No, we have to take responsibility. There are some things we cannot control, as Marcus Aurelius says. So we cannot control what's happening here in the market. Okay, we cannot control what's happening to the price of Luna or XRP or Bitcoin or whatever. Okay, there's some things that you just cannot control. But there are some things you can definitely control. For example, when you can enter or get into the market. When you can get out of the market. Exit. Okay? That means what? That means you need to have an exit strategy. You need to have an exit plan. So that means it's not enough just to be in the market and hodl. Again, there's some people out there who think the meaning of investing is hodling. No. Hodling without any risk protection is gambling. So you need to have an exit strategy. Not just exit at a profit, but exit also to limit risk. The third thing is you need to know where the risk is and to limit that at all costs. So I'm sorry, the people out there who said there was no warning, that there was no preparation at all for what happened, they're wrong. Okay, those people did not take the time to educate themselves about, again, chart analysis and risk protection. And as a result, they sat through and they watched their, all their money disappear in front of them. So I think Marcus Aurelius is right. The wise man does not whine or moan and blame everybody else about what's happening. The wise man takes responsibility for his actions and he prepares. Okay, so I would say that's one thing to learn from this collapse in Luna is be aware that anything is possible. Anything can happen, including the worst case scenario. So by the way, I'm sure there's going to be some people out there who are going to say, there you go. This is why technical analysis does not work, or why LED waves don't work. Okay, those people, unfortunately, are ignorant of their own ignorance. They don't actually understand that technical analysis is not about being right. It's about three things: understanding possibilities, finding probabilities, and again, reducing risk. That is what technical analysis and Elliott waves are about. So the people out there who say that technical analysis does not work or Elliott waves don't work, what they're really saying is that they want certainty. They want the holy grail of analysis that is never wrong. So what they really want is the impossible. Now ask yourself this question: how are we supposed to give them certainty? How is that even possible? Okay, we're dealing with a market that is chaotic, unpredictable, and nonlinear. So the best that we can do is, again, analyze the chart to the best of our abilities. But again, this is something we cannot control. As I mentioned earlier, there is no way we can control what happens here to the price. The only thing we can control is knowing what is more probable, what is more likely, and where the risks are. So guys,